Welcome back to Planning Phase Syndicate. This is our Star Wars X-Wing podcast. Yes, folks, we finally got another episode. We got some exciting announcements coming with some new standard loadout cards, as well as a discussion about Epic stuff. So tonight, what I wanted to do is have a conversation with somebody from the XWA to talk a little bit about Epic points, because that's something that has severely lacked between AMG and FFG. And we're very excited to be able to talk a little bit about the new Epic points that have rolled out, and some of the new standard loadout stuff for Epic that will make building your deck easier. Joining me tonight on my mic is JJ. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing great. I'm excited to talk some Epic, especially, we've been covering a lot of Star Wars Unlimited recently, and we've gotten a ton of capital ships being revealed and new ships and stuff. And with the announcement for the new SLs for Epic, it feels like just like perfect timing to go through all this. So I'm excited to go through all these reveals tonight.
Also joining us is Paul Heaver, the design lead for XWA. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm excited to talk about some Epic. Thinking of XWA, they recently spoiled the twin laser turret, and that gave me that gave me like a heart attack when I saw that.
Yeah, it's like PTSD thinking about the days of 1.0.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it won't be as broken as it was back in 1.0. How about that?
I mean, you can have your ghost card with your twin laser turret card on it, and you can have Biggs and what was it? Ghost and Biggs and like a little pod, right, or something. I forget what 1.0.
Yeah,
the Sheath of Bead. You can have that too. That's out there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of exciting, right? Because, being able to go back and have some of that stuff that we used to love be a card format is pretty cool. But what's more exciting is we get to talk a little bit about Epic, which was one of my favorite formats when I first joined X-Wing. I like the competitive piece, but being able to put all of those ships on the table for the very first time when I first started playing is what actually sold me on the game. And because my first faction was Empire, and being able to put that Corvette on that table was just like epic. I do regret not buying the SSD from Armada, just so that one day Paul can help design a SSD for me so that I can just play it in X-Wing. That's what I would need. So I'm kind of willing to go drop $200-$300 to get one of those if you want to design a card for it, Paul. How about that?
The SSD would be like 12 feet long, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you just put 3 mats together, right? And just put the design of it. Yeah, there you go.
It doesn't move. It just sits there. That's what it does. I don't think it moves much in Armada either. I've only used it once.
No. It's a pretty slow ship, yeah. In Armada, it is your entire list for the most part. Like you bring that and maybe some Gazantes and some fighters and roll through and hope for the best. It's not really great in the current meta, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, Paul, welcome to the show tonight. We've got some awesome stuff that we're going to go over with you to talk a lot about the design of Epic. Excuse you have to excuse my voice. I'm just getting over a cold here. But we have a lot of questions for you, a little bit around some of the design for it. We want to talk a little bit about some of the cards revealed. But before we talk about the new cards, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the design, kind of what led you guys to say, hey, this is something that we really want to do. And then talk about kind of how you guys are going to support it going forward.
Sure. So the basic idea was when we started with the whole XWA, we needed to have kind of a test of the design process. And we figured Epic would be a really good idea to kind of run through the process and get everything set up, mainly because at this point, at the point that we started, X-Wing was still very much a thing that was still going on. So we didn't want to immediately start throwing out new cards and everything when there were still big events happening. And AMG and really FFG kind of threw the Epic stuff out there and then promptly ignored it. So the Epic people were pretty starved for attention. So it was also going to be kind of an easy win to be like, hey, Epic people, here you go, because they are very passionate about the Epic game and all the ships and everything, and so um, giving them some attention and they like getting them on your side to like, hey, help out with playtesting was kind of like an obvious path forward to move the XWA. So yeah, and we uh, we decided to do SL cards because that's probably the easiest way to do thematic, interesting cards, and also the least likely to screw up and break the entire game by putting stuff out. So we made some cool thematic cards. We went to the Epic folks on like the X-Wing 2.5 Discord server. In case you're interested in following on Epic, that's where most of the Epic discussion is happening. Um, and then we just got them to basically do the playtesting for us, and made a lot of tweaks over time. There's still not a ton of Epic players out there. We were getting like 10 reports a month, so it was kind of slow getting Epic reports. But yeah, we chugged along on that for a while until, I don't know, I'd say around November last year. And that's when we kind of snapped the chalk line and said, okay, well, we're going to release what we got now, put it out there. And at that point we had to kind of start working on the other topics that we wanted to work on for XWA. So we went over to the standard SLs and other things that we're working on that I don't think we've announced yet. So I do plan on eventually getting back to Epic and giving them maybe an update, maybe later on this year. Uh, I know I do keep track of what people are saying about Epic. There's still some changes that I wouldn't mind making to the wing cards and wing mates that are there, but and I'm sure there's probably some tweaks that need to be made to the Epic ships themselves. But for now, they're going to stay for, I don't know, probably at least the next 6 months.
That's awesome. That's actually great to hear, because I think for me as an Epic player, one of the hardest things for me was the setup time alone, just to get all these ships out on the board. When the Epic format first came out, the scenarios that came with the Epic Play kit that came out had various points that you can like set up and such. So there wasn't really like a standard for each individual scenario that you can play. And like the majority, I think the fastest time I've ever got an Epic game through was about 2.5 hours. And just the amount of setup of setting up cards and reading through each interaction and stuff kind of made it a little bit difficult. And I think like the SL cards were definitely a really great idea, because it just condenses all that information onto one card without having to go through like all these different upgrades that you can potentially equip onto that card. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do in the future for the wing leaders, like for those particular upgrades, and any tweaks to the wing system as well for that. So that sounds great.
Yeah. One of because we put a questionnaire out to the Epic folks beforehand to kind of see where did you want us to focus on things, what did you not want us to change, that sort of stuff. And yeah, setup time and the amount of time it takes to play was a big thing that they hit. And so we decided, okay, well, we're gonna try to simplify stuff as much as we can. So SL cards was a big part of that, so that you wouldn't be setting up a million cards with a million charges. And the wing rules, we wanted to simplify that as much as possible, so that you're not like, oh well, now my wings are broken up, so now I'm going to have to set 17 dials and do all this other stuff.
Which is super fun.
Yeah. Basically we were like, we want to have you set like 5 dials, or basically the same number of dials that you're setting in standard. Like if you're setting like 5, maybe 6 dials, then that seems like it moves at a relatively brisk pace.
Well, and it makes kind of sense because, like in Armada, right, some of the smaller units that you get, like the wings in Armada, right, are the smaller ships, and it's like one little squadron you're moving around, you know, versus like you could get a little Luke Skywalker, or you could get like a squadron of vultures, you know, and it's not like having to have 4 to 6 ships, because I'll tell you, when you bump an Epic like with all those ships, then that's when it became a mess. And of course, like somebody with a Boba Fett is going to want to bump your Vulture squadron so that they can't, you know, shoot out Discord missiles all over the place onto you.
Yep. So yeah, we tried to concentrate on basically making it more fun and quicker, and I think we did a pretty good job with it. So far, everyone seems to be having a good time, and I saw a lot of reports of people coming back to the game and playing, you know, Epic again for the first time, or you know, in a long time, and lots of good reviews. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah. So just to clarify, it like we haven't really talked a lot about it, the points, and I promise everybody we will get to the new spoilers. But what I really want to preface this with is, it feels like you guys have kind of simplified the point system in the same way AMG did. And I guess if that's kind of how the reason I asked that question is because there used to be different formats. Do you play with 200, play with 500 points, you know, that type of a thing? What is the thing? What made you guys settle on like a 20-point system for Epic? Or is this like, is it something where you go, well, we want you to build 20-point squads so that way, if you want to build 2 squads, you can build 2 squads of 20 points each? Or is it designed more to play with just 20 points specifically?
Well, really, it's designed for 40 points is the point total. I know if you go to Yasby and you hit switch it from standard to Epic, like it just says 20, but you can actually click on where it says 0 of 20 and change that to 40. But and then build your lists. So that's like a little thing from when we were trying to figure out different point totals to do. 40 seemed like about the right point total for a 6x3 mat with using one of the scenarios that we put together for it. 20 is something you could do for, like, if you did on a 3x3 and just want to do a quick fight, you can do a 20-point battle. That's like one huge ship and a couple fighters. But I mean, at that point, the huge ship, if you pick like one of the 12 or 13 pointers, is gonna really dominate the board. Like there's definitely opposing forces that might just physically be unable to kill a 13-point ship if just because it has shield regen and all that other stuff going on with it. So I prefer 40 points on a 6x3 table for my Epic play.
Nice.
Yeah, which is fair. Like, again, it was just, to me, the big thing is you know, how do you get the most thematic experience, right? And that's one of the things is like, do I only want to put 1 raider on here, or do I want to put like 2 raiders on here? You know, like I'm that guy that owns 2 squids, so I like just saying, like I shouldn't own 2 of them.
No,
but I did. I bought a second one. No, I won a second one. I bought one and then I won one, and then I had the second one. It's still in the box, but I was at some point going to paint it because it was going to be I was going to do this whole huge separatist army thing, and then that's kind of when AMG took over, right? And then it just kind of like everything fizzled from there. So, but I do own 2 squids, so you know, like I guess if anybody wants to buy one, I do have one still in the package.
Hey, those new box ships are worth something. I don't know if the Epic ships are worth anything, but I know a lot of people are selling the X-Wing material and getting some good money out of it now that, you know, it's not being made and not being sold anywhere.
Yeah, which is funny because I guess all those winnings when they were giving us ships out for winnings was like where I was like, I don't need another decimator. I have 3 of them, and I never unboxed it. It just sat in the corner over there. Well, at least maybe they'll go to somebody's home and be a good use for somebody at some point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the only other question I have, and then let's get into spoilers. Because I think we talked a little bit about design. The one thing that is neglected to be talked about is scenarios, right? So like we know AMG gave us scenarios. Personally, I was a big fan of of the change when we went to the 2.5 scenarios, even though that needed a little bit of tweaking and it was a little harder to design around. I felt scenarios boosted the game so we weren't just dogfighting or having one person sit in the corner. Did you guys introduce scenario play to Epic? We kind of had it a little bit, I think, because it was kind of based on that Armada style, but it was never to the not like what we have in 2.5. So did you guys, did your team go through and change scenarios for any of that, or is that still something that's on the table, or where are we at with that type of stuff?
Yeah, we put in a few scenarios. Like if you go through, because I happen to have the Epic Battle Rules and Scenarios book sitting next to me. I use that a bunch for going through this. But if you go through that, there's a lot of scenarios for like between 2 and like 6 players in here. So we kind of focused on the 2-player 6x3 mat scenarios, and that is like Cover the Evacuation is probably the best one out of them. So I kind of stole that one wholesale. You can basically do Cover the Evac and just make it a symmetrical scenario rather than the asymmetrical scenario that it currently is in the book. So that was relatively easy and straightforward to throw out there. And the other things that we pushed forward were to do 2 scenarios from standard were pretty easy to convert to Epic. One is chance engagement or chance encounter, whatever it's called, chance. And then what you do with that is you put a token in the middle of each of your 3x3 mats. And so you're just going by both tokens basically and scoring both of them each round. So you're making, between 0 and 4 points depending on who's near the token. And then you can do assault the satellite array, the one, the one where you have to be within range 1 of the satellites. And again, you put 1 in the center of each of your 3x3 mats. And then you set up, I want to say 4. Yeah, you each get 2 and set up so that there's 6 satellites out there. And then you just make huges count as, I want to say 4 ships.
Wow.
When they're around. I forget if it was 4 or 3. It was some number that was, bigger than large ships. When they're around the satellite, they very much control satellites. So then, yeah, you can play those. So the other ones like Scramble and Salvage don't really lend themselves to Epic play too well. And we didn't make up any new scenarios out of whole cloth. Not yet, anyway. Maybe we will at some point. That would be nice to add to the group.
I mean, if we make Epic ships and not be able to drop crates at all because they have the magnetic clamps, that'll be kind of interesting.
So, all right, well, let's get into some of the standard loadout cards. I agree. Actually, this is the one place where like AMG gave us standard loadout cards for the regular game, but this is for Epic, makes things a lot nicer. So it's weird to see planetary bombardment on a Bright Hope ship because I don't remember them bombing any planets, but
it's retrofitted, man.
It's retrofitted.
No. The planetary bombardment is not them bombarding. It's it's planetary ion bombardment. So this is Bright Hope flying away from Hoth. So there's on the planet there's ion cannons firing in front of them.
Yeah.
So you target lock somebody with Bright Hope and call in an airstrike effectively, and then the planet blasts away and ions the thing so that you can go, hey, the first ship is away, woo, and everyone cheers.
That's awesome.
See?
The other note I wanted to make too real quick is that it does look like in the points you guys did leave the ability to build to 40 points or build your own if somebody wanted to build their own ship. They do look like they cost a little bit more, but it does look like, just so everybody knows, if you go over to the YASB site, you can actually just go, well, I don't want this new Trember pilot, I just want a generic, and you can it's in there for you. So they didn't take anything away. They're just making standard loadout cards easier for you all. So
yep, exactly. Yeah, we didn't want to get rid of the customizable cards. People still enjoy the customizable cards. We just didn't want to we just wanted to add some extra options, and the standard loadout ones generally are, I believe, cheaper than the customizable ones,
Yes.
because you could really break the game pretty hard if you really want to with the customizable ones in some cases. So
Yeah.
And I would actually, like, as we're going forward, I would huge proponent of pushing out even more standard loadout cards for Epic, just for the bigger ships. Like, we don't have to have you create special ones for some of the individual pilots, but taking all those old things and putting them together and saying, okay, well, this works, this doesn't work, and this is something that would be a smart idea, because, you know, like, there's some cool, like, upgrades, but you know how long it takes to build one of those lists? Like, I remember spending like 5 hours one time just sitting there building a list, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, then you spend 3 hours playing, and then you tear it down and you don't see it again for like a year. So it just takes a little bit of the guesswork out of it, especially for something that's not competitive and is more like a fun scenario to play. So
yeah, I've seen people do Epic tournaments, like 3-round Epic tournaments, and I'm like, God bless you, because yeah, that's like an entire day of your life right there. But like I I personally think Epic is a very casual friendly environment, and I'm not sure if people really, were like set their minds to breaking the game. I'm pretty sure there are paths to break the game pretty badly in Epic if you really wanted to. But we did try to change the points of a couple of the upgrades that people basically always used. We bumped up some points in some of those upgrades so that you couldn't just be like, oh, I'm always going to use, I forget which ones they were, like the targeting missile target, there was targeting laser thing that everyone was using, that we were like, okay, well, we're bumping that one up because it's pretty ridiculous. And there were a couple other ones, like 3 or 4 cards that we bumped up the cost on.
yeah, there was like there's one with missiles, and then you could use like you had missiles, and then you had the like C3PO, and then like you would have like all this token gathering stuff. I remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of weird corner cases out there. I don't know, man. If you wanna break the game, you're just playing with your buddies. Like, go.
But let's get into the new pilots. Though I will give a quick plug. If the XWA would like to like demo like Epic play in like a somewhat moderately competitive format, we have something called Michigan GT in Lansing, and I know the guy that owns it now and runs it. And if we could find enough people that wanted to draw, we could put together like a small mini XWA Epic tournament that could happen at that place, and it would be relatively decently priced too, because they essentially they charge you your ticket and entry fee is just like one thing. So instead of like Adepticon where you pay the 125 and then pay per event, you just pay like a ticket price. That's it. So, but maybe they'll fly you up, Paul. That would be fun.
Man, no one should offer to fly me anywhere to run an Epic thing or do Epic stuff like
that. Come on, it'd be fun. I think it would be fun.
It would be fun, but yeah, just find a 6x3 table in your local game store and hang out with a friend. I guarantee for the like 3 hours that you end up playing, you will have so many people wander over and ask you about the game and talk about it. And that's probably honestly one of the best selling points right there is if you just play it in public and have people just wander over and be like, what's this game? And you'll be like, well, it's X-Wing, blah blah blah. And
all right,
you become salesman.
There you go. So we're going to start in Rebels. That's where we're going to start, in Rebels. So we have the first pilot. And I guess, JJ, I don't know how you had this all planned for what you wanted to go through. Do you want to read the cards? Yeah, what do you want to do?
We'll do it in Yasby order, essentially. So starting with the Rebels. So we'll start with the GR-75 transport pilot, Trevor Zednem, coming in at Initiative 7 and engaging at Initiative 1. The ship's chassis ability is resupply craft. After another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 performs an action, you may spend an energy. If you do, it removes 1 orange or red token or recovers 1 shield. And then on the upgrades, we got Tornfar. After you coordinate a friendly ship, it may acquire lock on a ship you are locking, ignoring range restrictions. Planetary Ion Bombardment, a bonus attack requirement with a target lock, and it reads attack 1 medium, large, or huge ship. If this attack hits, all hit or crit results inflict ion tokens instead of damage, and it's a 5 dice attack at range 1 to 3. And then we got the Bright Hope title on this one, and it reads: you can only reinforce your front arc if or the front half, and while you defend, if you are reinforced and the attackers in your front half, you may roll 1 additional defense die, which is really great actually. And then for the actions here, you get to use 2 actions with the epic ships. You have the focus, you have the target lock into red coordinate, a reinforce into red coordinate, a coordinate, and a jam action on there. Really nice, actually. It's a strong support ship, has a decent amount of firepower for the GR-75. Granted, it's only a 2 die attack primary, but that planetary ion bombardment is actually huge, especially against an epic ship. Just being able to essentially sap away their energy, preventing them from being able to recharge their shields or use their energy for any of those bonus attacks that they could potentially do is super, super big. I like this card a lot, especially the interactions that you can have with Torn Far on there. It's really strong. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and a fun little Easter egg. So the names of these pilots, there is literally no place on the planet that says who the captain of the Bright Hope was, and we scoured everything. So
Yeah.
and a lot of these ships, either we made up the ship title entirely for some of them because they never named like
Yeah.
the I don't know, the raider that worked for the First Order, or something like that. So if they never named them, we made up the ship name entirely. And and a lot of the ones like Bright Hope that didn't have the captain named at any point, we about a third of the time we made up a name that sounded, Star Warsy. A third of the time I went into a Star Wars random name generator and just said, whatever, give me something. And then a third of the time we just made we just kind of made Easter eggs of putting like ourselves in the in here or names we wanted to put in there.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it up to as an exercise for the reader to try to figure out which ones are which, if they're real Star Wars people or made up, and how we made them up. So
I appreciate you telling me that, because I literally spent like a good 45 minutes like trying to do a deep search to see who the heck Trevor Zedman was. And now that you said that, I'm like, oh, Mendez, duh. Oh man, that's great.
yeah. You will if you find out who the captain of the Bright Hope is, if that's posted somewhere in the universe, let me know. But yeah, for now, Trebor gets to be the leader, the captain of the Bright Hope.
That's awesome.
All right. Looks like we also have an Antilles coming into play here with the Tantive 4. What is that card?
Paul, if you want, go ahead.
Oh, sure. I can. So the Tantive 4 is actually super interesting because it existed in all 3 time periods.
Yeah.
So we just use the Tantive 4 as the Corellian corvette for Republic, Rebels, and Resistance. And it's piloted, or it's captained by different people in each one. But it's all basically the same. Like it's in the basic chassis. Like they all get 2 actions, and we did add like the red focus that you can link to a reinforce. But for the most part, the Tantive is a gunship. Like it rolls 4 dice, and it shoots out all the way to range 4 on its primary attack. So and it's a broadside ship. So it's shooting 4 dice out its right and left side out to range 4. It has 18 hull and 7 shields. So it is a beast to take down. But I mean, it is I want to say 12 points. It was 12, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I got it right. So yeah, it is not an easy ship to take down, but it better not be if you're spending 12 points on it. And yeah, we kind of gave thematic upgrades for each of them. Like for this one, we put Leia, R2, and C3PO on, and then we kind of kept them the same ish powers. Like Leia is basically hope on a stick. So anytime something dies, Leia gets to say rebellions are based on hope and point to somebody else who can then boost her focus. C3PO is still the like, hey, while defending, you can change your results, but you're not guessing with the C3PO. He's giving you a strain token, which for the most part, strain tokens don't really do much to the huge ships because they have 0 agility. But if someone's shooting at you at range 3, then like you can play around it and be like, okay, well now I'll shoot with my close-in ship. If you want to get your strain token, then I'll shoot with a farther range ship, and so on and so forth. And then R2 is very similar to the R2 that, hey, if you're not shielded, you can recover an extra shield, but you might take extra damage if you do. So it's like he's basically like an extra point of regen. And then, yeah, you get your turbo laser battery, which shoots out to range 5, which is a very, very large attack too, because if it hits, it's definitely meant for attacking large and huge base ships. Because if it hits with a 3-die attack, you get to add 3 hit results. So it brings a lot of pain. Yeah, you can do up to 6 damage, but it's only a 3-die attack, and you'll probably only have a focus. So if you're shooting like range 5, because you get bonus defense dice when you're farther out. So if you're shooting like an interceptor or something, if somehow it hits and the interceptor doesn't dodge with all of the bonus attack dice for being all the way out there, then your interceptor just explodes. But that makes sense when a turbo laser battery is shooting at you. It's really easy to dodge, but if it hits you, you explode. And then the Tantive 4, the title for, at least in this stage of it, is if the attacker's behind you, you roll additional defense die. If he's in your back arc. So it's very thematic for the Tantive running away from Star Destroyers, and you have Leia and C3PO and R2D2 on it. And again, we tried to keep the theme going for all of these SL cards.
Yeah, I like the ability to put the R2, C3PO, and Leia ship at one time. So, and what are you saying? You only have a focus. You're going to take a target lock. You got 2 actions. You're going to take a target lock. You're going to reinforce and then get your stress focus.
Yep, you could do that. That'll cost you a little bit of energy, and then you'll spend some energy on your turbo laser battery. And so yeah, you could do that a couple times, and probably do a good amount of pain. But yeah, you also have your 4-die primary attack. You want to have a mod for that too, don't you? Like, because you can shoot both. So
yep, that's true.
All right, well, let's move on to Empire. Then Empire, we have a Bloody Crow. Thank God it's not moldy, because you know how much I love that.
So before we cover this, Chris, do you recognize that name?
I don't know.
Okay, so when I first saw this, I immediately knew who it was. It's from the first Thrawn book. It is the captain of the Blood Crow who eventually promoted Thrawn and Eli Banto when he first joined the Imperial Navy. So that was the captain of that particular ship. And I saw that, and I'm like, oh man, I hope Chris gets this one, man, because yeah, this is pure Thrawn right here, man. It's great.
No, that's like that book. I read that book how many years ago? That's like,
I know.
like 10 years ago, I think now. So we have.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just to say, so we have a ship that's got Thrawn on it, so it's exciting because X-Wing could never give us a Thrawn, it seemed. Hint, hint, guy that works for the XWA. Maybe we'll get something in the future.
That'd be neat. Yeah. It'd be kind of fun to have a Thrawn in the game. I agree.
Yeah, it would be super fun. I played Armada just specifically so I could play Thrawn. That was literally the one reason I started playing Armada, was so I could play Thrawn. I don't own any of it, but I 100% played it because Thrawn. So we have the Gazante Cruiser. This one looks like a Separatist version, not an Empire version. But this is Victor Cruz. So you guys didn't change any of the stats, did you, for the
No, the Gazanti, that is the Gazanti's stats throughout. I don't think we changed any of the stats on any of the ships. The only things we added were we added linked actions for most of the ships. A lot of the support ships got linked red coordinates, and a lot of the gunships got linked red focuses.
Gotcha. So this is a 3-front attack. Obviously, there's no evade dice. 11 hull, 5 shields, and 3 energy. It also gets to do the double actions. I do not own one of these. This is the one epic ship I do not own, actually. I could never track this one down. It has what's called docking clamps, so you could dock up to 4 small ships on it.
And it actually has like little things on the ship that you can connect your small ships to it. I really like that.
My assumption is that's why I could never find them, is because people still like them for displays because they look
really good. Yeah.
They're the guy that runs this store manager for my LGS. He has one of these, and I told him if you ever just want to sell it to me, because I would actually play with it, I would be happy to take it off his hand. So this one, you could do a focus action, a reinforce into a coordinate, a red coordinate, target lock coordinate, jam, or a rotate action. It comes with Thrawn. He has 1 charge, which recharges over time. Before an enemy ship at range 3, 0 to 3 reveals its dial, you may spend 1 energy and choose a number. If the speed on the tile matches your choice, acquire a lock on that ship or recover 1 of your energy. Heavy laser cannon turret has a bonus attack. If the attack range is 3, roll 1 additional attack dice. So that's actually pretty cool. That kind of basically negates that 3. And that's your turret, obviously, for shooting out the whatever side you feel they're going to attack you from. It's like a mini fire spray. And then it has the Bloody Crow title. While you defend, perform an attack. If the attack range is 1, you may spend 1 energy to add 1 focus result. That way you can always use your focus result.
So I got a rules question on this one here. So Thrawn obviously would not work off of a ship that's ionized, correct? Because they would not like essentially.
Man, I'm not the rules guy. What are you asking me rules? I don't believe so. No, I'm pretty sure you don't get to activate anything, even opposing things don't get to activate stuff for revealing a dial. So
okay,
I know it says like anything that triggers when you reveal a dial doesn't work on ion ships. I'm almost positive. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. So Thrawn was something that we made up, obviously, because it didn't exist before. But that was one of our goals, was to when we were trying to figure out what Imperial Gazanti did we want to make, because we wanted to make one SL card for each different ship that everyone has, and the obvious choice for the Imperial Gazanti was Thrawn's. So we had to make an ability that wasn't like a huge combat ability, but was a know your enemy and haha, I'm playing 4D chess here kind of Thrawn ability. So we went with that to acquire locks and hit harder, because now you know where he's going, so you've locked onto him and you shoot him harder. I mean, it's still a Gazanti. It's not a huge number of points or anything on your list, and it's not gonna like be pounding a ton of damage in, but the heavy laser cannon turret hits pretty hard, and I mean there's still a 3-die gun and a lot of health with reinforce, so it'll collapse if somebody in a CR90 comes rolling up to it, but like fighters are going to have trouble.
So the only question I have is, why is there that little contingency at the bottom where it says flip this card over, regenerate all your health because Thrawn never loses? That's what I'm talking about.
No, I like this a lot. Honestly, the theme for this card is so good. Very spot on for Thrawn and Rick to be teamed up on this particular card here. The additional docking clamps on there just helps you kind of like surprise deploy your ships when you need to. On top of that too, so if you want to. If you know your opponent is forced to do like a blue maneuver, you can kind of set up a block and then have Thrawn go in there to to essentially help the Gazanti like deal a really big shot where you need to. So like I like this a lot.
Yeah, we were really happy with it.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, so the next one here is the Raider class Corvette pilot Iden Versio coming in at Initiative H and engaging at Initiative 0. She has as the chassis ability concentrated batteries while you perform a primary or a torpedo or a missile attack. If the defender's in your bullseye, roll 1 additional die. And then this comes with Ruthless, as we know, and Fanatical. While you perform an attack, if you are not shielded, you may change 1 focus result to a hit result. We got Inferno Squad. While a friendly Gideon has Del Miko or Saint Marana ship at range 0 to 2 performs an attack, you may suffer a hit damage. If you do, you may then change 1 of their results to hit results. It comes equipped with the twin missile launchers, which you can do this attack twice by spending a energy each. It's a 3-die turret attack, range 2 to 3. And then it has the Corvus title, which is great. And it reads, set up, place this ship as if it was a standard ship with Initiative 5, which is very interesting for an epic ship being able to be deployed a lot earlier. And kind of force your opponent's hand too when that goes there. So
actually a lot later.
Yeah.
So normally you set up your epic ships first. Your huge ships deploy first. So unless I'm horribly wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay,
yeah.
good. So, so Corvus, and I stole this from Armada. Actually, the Armada Corvus, when you set it up, basically you can set it up anywhere and then reset it up again after your opponent sets up everything. So it like you can react to what your opponent's doing. So this is very similar. The Corvus is supposed to be this infiltrating raider that sneaks up to places, shows up, and blasts the hell out of it. And it has 20 hull and 8 shields, so it is going to use those. I'm assuming you're going to be flying like Gideons and Dells and Saint Maranas near them to use the ability. You're going to do damage to yourself. You're going to do damage to friendlies with Ruthless. You're going to hope that you're using your Fanatical. You're burning all your charges on your energy to fire your twin missiles around. Like you should be just constantly taking damage, dealing damage. It is not here for a long time. It is here to just show up at some place where your opponent's not ready and just beat them up.
Yeah, and it comes in at 13 points, it looks like.
Yeah, the Raiders are, I believe, the most expensive of the ships. I mean, and a lot of that is because they have a 4-attack, 4-attack front arc attack, and 20 hull and 8 shields. It is a brutal ship. And also to keep this separate from the CR90s, which are in the same kind of weight class as them, you'll notice that the Raiders kind of are limited to range 3 attacks. They don't get to reach out far away like the CR90s. All the CR90s can hit out at range 4, range 5, and do a lot of damage that way. They're weaker closer up. The Raider is basically the opposite. It can't hurt anything way out at range 4 and 5, but it can get in. If you get in close to it, it'll beat you up.
Yeah, if I remember right, the dial on this one is one of the better dials too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can. I mean, obviously it can't turn because none of the epic ships turn, but it has every other thing. It has 0 stop and all 4 banks, all 6 straights. Like you can do everything.
All right, moving on to Resistance, we have another Tantive 4, but this one's got Leia in.
Yeah, for this one we put Leia Organa as the captain, and again there wasn't really the Tantive 4 in Resistance era was piloted by Urkos Ferdam. Apparently that's a real guy. So
yeah.
So yeah, we did some searches to figure out who the pilot was, and it was like, okay, Urkos, here you go. I've never heard of him, but yeah, no, this is a like the home base for the resistance. It's used a lot as basically where they live. So that's why we put the Tabana reserves on it, because it's, you know, holding supplies for the resistance. So that's what Tabana reserves are. And the Tantive 4 on this one, it gives heroic to all of your friends, basically. So you can yell out heroic. So yeah, while your friendly ships are defending or performing an attack, if you only have blank results and 2 or more results, the Tantive 4 can take a damage or spend two energy, and if so, then the ship rerolls all of its dice. So if you're near this Tantive 4, it'll give you heroic, and of course, like all the Tantive 4s, it has a turbo laser battery, and Num is basically a double tapper. So after you do a primary attack, you can spend 2 energy to do another primary attack against somebody else. So you can put out a good amount of attacks here. You can, you know, shoot your 4-die attack, spend 2 energy, shoot your 4-die attack again, and then spend another 3 energy to fire your turbo laser battery. But you can't do it too often, because that just burned out 5 of your energy, and you only have 7. So you'll regenerate 2 a turn, but you're going to have to wait a turn before you can do that whole thing again.
So just a dumb question, because I think it works like this. So you have your Tibet reserves. You can spend an action to recover 2 energy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that twice in one turn?
As part of your say yes.
Okay, because I thought you could, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been able to play Epic. So
again, I just make the cards. I don't worry about the rules. That's somebody else's job.
JJ will JJ will clarify later.
Maui to the rescue. Yeah.
Yep.
So I gotta say, Nine Numb got aggressive in his old age, man. Switching from relieving your stress to to double tapping that one in the resistance. But yeah, I love the flavor on this. It's definitely feels like a Tantive 4 for the resistance, and it's got a lot of great tricks on its sleeves here. So I do love the theme of being able to provide like that heroic option to all your other ships, which opens up a lot of squad building options as well for Epic. So yeah, it's great. I like it a lot.
All right. And when you suffer a damage for it, does it go through the shield, or that just lands on the shields? Correct.
It'll land on the shields if you have them. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because that wasn't like changing on us or something like that.
Nope.
All right, let's move on to the next one we have here. And oh, by the way, that one, I looked up the points for that one. I should say that was 12 points for that one.
Yep, all the CR90s are 12. All the Raiders are 13, and I forget what all the support craft are. They're like
8.
They're 8. Yeah,
I think all of them are 8. And then the Trident falls in somewhere in between. I think it's 10 for all of them.
Which I can't wait till we. All right, JJ, what's the next one?
All right, so we got the GR75 transport pilot Draft Desic, and it comes in at Initiative 7, and its chassis ability reads: resupply craft after another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 performs an action. You may spend an energy, and if you do, it removes 1 orange or red token, or recovers 1 shield. And then it has the GA75 title. Set up place before placing forces. You may spend 2 charges, and if you do, choose what friendly ship with a wing leader upgrade. Assign the It's the Resistance condition to it, and if you don't remember what It's the Resistance is, you essentially get to delay the deployment for that particular ship for a couple of turns later on. So it could have kind of like a very big entrance later on, and possibly flank your opponent when they're not ready for it. Below it, we got adapted shields, and it reads: while another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defense, if it's a smaller size than you, you may spend 1 shield or 2 energy to cancel 1 hit or 1 crit result. And then it has the title Hosnian and Lament, which is a new title. And it reads, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 is defending, if it suffers 2 or more damage during attack, you may spend energy to assign a strain token to the attacker. So it's definitely a good support ship for the Resistance, being able to offer its shields in exchange for canceling results is really strong, especially since you can regenerate those shields with energy. It's definitely something that can do a lot of work with the right squad for Epic. And yeah, definitely gonna see. Definitely want to put this on the board.
So I have a quick question about the
Sure.
GA75. Why does it have a reoccurring charge if you're only using it during setup?
So the way these kind of one-time things work is that we want you to show up on turn 3 effectively. So since we want you to show up on turn 3, the way to do that is to basically drain you down to 0 charges and say once you get up to 2 charges, once you're full up on charges, ta-da, the ship shows up. So that's why we did it this way.
I see.
And that's the way GA75 on the Resistance normally works too. Or it the way, like, if you equipped it on somebody, except if you equipped it on somebody, they would be showing up later. Like, it's not yeah, so man, what's a ship that you would put GA75 on? I don't even remember like what it was. It was always the transport pod was what you would normally put it on. Like, you'd have Finn with GA75 or
maybe Rose.
he's GA97. Oh, do we call it the wrong thing? Oh, this is GA75. Wonder. Oh, I guess GA97. You can bring GA97 and GA75. There's a bunch of GAs out there.
Yeah,
but yeah. So it's the Resistance. I'm gonna have to talk with Robert and see if we made a mistake there, and we should have called it GA97. But anyway, ignore me. Ignore the man behind the curtain. But anyway, yeah, so it's the Resistance on there. You'll be showing up after 3 to 5 turns, and on here you show up after 2 turns, because honestly no one uses GA97 because showing up 3 turns into the game, like when games are like 7 turns long, is not so great. It's like, so showing up 2 turns later, especially on Epic, since the games tend to go a little bit longer, is not bad at all. That's much more interesting.
All right, let's move on. Excuse me, to the next one. We're now into First Order. It looks like we have another Gazante class coming in.
Yep,
called the Malefactor.
Yeah, the Malefactor. It's named in that emo style that the First Order likes. This was a made up name because I could not find any Gazanti names for the First Order, so we just found made up one. And in that, it's the same as every other Gazanti in its ability. You're docking your ships and everything, but the abilities it has an ion cannon battery, so it's shooting out to range 4, which is kind of unusual for Gazanti. But and much like other ion attacks, your defender is suffering 1 crit damage in this case, and then everything after that is ion tokens. And then you have Petty Officer Thanison, who is the same ability as what he normally has. So if somebody in your front arc at range 0 to 1 gains a red or orange token, if you're not stressed, you may gain a stress token, and he gains that ship gains an additional token. So if somebody stresses in front of you, you can get a stress, but this is a huge ship, so it just immediately burns the stress at the cost of an energy, and then they get an additional stress, for example. And I mean, if you need to give somebody an extra ion token, since it also works in the engagement phase, if you happen to, oh wait, no, it's 0 to 1. Never mind, ignore that too. If somebody else shoots them with an ion token, then if they're close enough to you. But yeah, Thanison is kind of a fun thing to put on there. And then Malefactor, just because the First Order is a bunch of jerks. When you defend, friendly ships docked with you may suffer damage instead of you. So you can just So if somebody shoots you, just be like, nah, my TISF is going to take that instead.
Yeah, I would love to have what is it, the Agent Terex Z-class shuttle, and equip one of those TIE fighters with a dead man switch, and then just have it absorb a bunch of damage until right before it's about to explode, and then
Just launch
deploy
it.
it and send it out and have it blow up afterwards. It'd be great.
That sounds first ordery. Yeah, I like it.
All right, remind me not to play you in Epic, or you don't get first order when it's
Oh man, that's great. I love this card. It's definitely a lot of fun, and that's the best thing about Epic. It's just having all these great cards, these interactions of these cards that you really don't get to see in the standard game, and it just makes for a really fun time. So yeah.
All right, let's move on to Gideon Hask, because I'm very excited about this one, because it has Protectorate Gleb and Agent Terex on there. So just so you know, you cannot field him and do all these other shenanigans JJ wants to do at the same time. But this is obviously the Raider. Same stats, everything as the one before. This one, though, has a Agent Terex. After an enemy ship is destroyed during an attack, if the attacker is at range 1 to 2 of you, assign a focus token to them. So that's pretty cool. And that doesn't have any like actions. It doesn't have anything. So they just have to stay by. Is that so? That could trigger multiple times in a round, correct?
Yeah. If you blow up multiple enemy ships, like the ship that's nearby gets focus token. Yeah, it's mainly to help out defense and also to help out Gideon Hask because he's going to steal those tokens later on.
And then we have Protector Gleb. While you defend or perform an attack during the modified dice step, another friendly ship at range 0 to 2 of you may gain a strain or deplete token. If they do, you may transfer one of your focus tokens from that ship to you. So that's a very awesome ability. Feels a little bit rebellish to me.
It feels like a hollow ability, kind of almost like that. That interaction there with Gleb and Hollow would be pretty interesting. Just passing all these tokens in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has internally the ability with Terex and Gleb to just basically give out focus tokens and then be like, haha, never mind, you're getting a strain instead, and steal the token later on for zone attacks. But like, there's obviously other ways you can do fun little tricks with getting focus tokens on your ships or stuff like that. Yeah. And then this all leads into Janata security forces as well. So yeah, while you defend or perform an attack, you can spend a focus token to change a blank result to a hit or an evade. So again, this is all wacky 3-card Monty focus token stuff going on with Gideon Hask.
Yeah, and then you have the Precursor, which is at the end of the engagement step, you may spend one of your shields to recover energy, or vice versa. So you could just interchange everything with this ship. So you should have called this the Interchanger.
No, it has to have Precursor as the because again, you don't get names for first order Raider corvettes. All the first order ships that have names would be like 6 feet on the table at least, because they're all these gigantic, stupid ships that will never be able to see play in X-Wing, unfortunately, because they're too big. But the Raider corvette doesn't typically get a name, unfortunately. So and we didn't want to use the Corvus again, even though we did talk a little bit. We were like, well, technically, Kylo and Gideon were on the Corvus for a really short period of time, and they controlled it, but they never flew it off the planet that it was on. It was just sitting there as like a trap, basically. So it doesn't really make any sense to have that. So we gave Gideon his own ship.
It was a retired ship.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Republic. We got another Gazanti class cruiser by Wes Sinat. There's no way that's a real name. Is that
Sinat?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. You have to figure out if it's a real name.
JJ Googled all these. I'm just asking because I know JJ has the answers here. So
Sanat is what I'm going to go with. But yeah, the Spectre of Nair, which I think that's like a hair removal product, I guess. But anyway, so it comes in with Clone Commander Cody. It reads, after you perform a turret attack that missed, if one or more hit or crit results were neutralized, the defender gains 1 strain token, and it comes with a point defense battery, which you can spend a total of 4 energy, and you can perform that attack up to 4 times. Comes with it's a 2-die attack at range 1 and 2, and then the title of the ship, Spectre of Nair, reads: after you perform an attack, if you have not targeted defender in a previous attack this round and you are focused, you may recover 1 energy. So this really helps you spread out the amount of attacks that you can do with the point defense battery. Note that this normally only comes with just 3 energy, so if you're spreading out the attacks, you can recover those energy to get the full benefit of the point defense battery on there. And on top of that, if you're not spending your focus, chances are you have possibly a greater chance of triggering the Clone Commander Cody effect of just handing out strain tokens, assuming that they are canceling that 1 hit or crit result in that attack. And yeah, you can definitely hand out a lot of strain potentially with this particular card. Definitely really great, because the bonus of this is that, if it ends up you roll natural 2 hits and it goes through, that's just extra damage that you're doing, and this could definitely be really, really strong. So I like this card a lot. It's a very aggressive Gazanti for the Republic. So yeah.
Yeah, the point of this, and you caught on pretty quickly, is to spread out your shots, spread out any damage you happen to do with it, and recover all the energy, so that you're not actually spending the energy on the point defense battery. And maybe you're doing strain, maybe you're doing damage, you're doing something with all your attacks, and then you have like a real attack at the end out your front arc. You can do a 3-die attack and probably spend your focus after that, or maybe that final bonus attack you spend your focus and go, whatever, I'll not recover this energy. So yeah, we definitely planned this around like the whole Ghost Company, hence the Spectre of Nair. It's, in our minds, it's part of Ghost Company. So yeah.
Awesome. Let's move on to the Tantive 4. So this is the 3rd one. This has also got Ramus Antilles on it. Look at that.
This one is much like the previous 2 times we talked about the Tantive 4. It has a faction ability basically on it. Like there's Hope on the Rebel one, and there was a Heroic on the Resistance one. The Republic one gets born for this. While another friendly ship at 0-2 defends, if you're not strained, it may spend your focus and evade tokens as if that ship has them. If it does, you gain a strain token. So you should try to get focus and evade tokens on this ship so that you can give them away. Then it has Bail Organa, and on that one, you can remove a green token from your ship at the start of engagement, and then up to 3 other friendly ships gain that token at 0-3. So yeah, if you're feeling lucky, you can get rid of your reinforced token and give it to 3 of your friendly ships, but you'll probably just get shot a lot if you do that. So you maybe don't want to do that. But this is also if you have a focus token and you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to give 3 focus tokens out to 3 of my friendly ships. So that's another fun use of it. Then Secret Provisions. This is a card we made up. During the end phase, if you're at range 1 to 3 of the opponent's board edge, you can spend 1 of its 3 charges to gain 2 victory points. So it is go sneak over to the opposite side of the board and drop off Secret Provisions, because the theme of this is Ramus used the Tantive 4 to drop off provisions, I believe, for Twi'leks. I'm not 100% sure about that one.
At Ryloth, I believe.
Yeah, I believe at Ryloth he was dropping off provisions there. So that's the whole thing here. You fly over to your opponent's side of the board and drop off some provisions, make a couple points while you're fighting. And then it has the standard turbo laser battery that they all have. And this Tantive 4 is, while you defend, if you have no green tokens because you've given them all away, you may change 1 result to an evade result. So obviously you can only use this while you're obstructed or at range 3, because otherwise you are not rolling defense dice. But if you are, then at either of those, then yeah, you just get a free evade. You'll always roll evades.
So when you land on an obstacle,
well, for epic ships, when you land on an obstacle, the obstacle goes away. Like you beat obstacles when you're an epic ship.
Oh, that's right.
You just take a bunch of damage when you do that.
Oh, that's crazy. All right. Moving on to Separatist. We have another Gazanti. JJ, what is this auto alpha revenue?
We got ATO Alpha Review in the Gazanti class cruiser. I love the name; it's great. So we got TX-25, which is a new tactical droid, and it reads: after friendly ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, you may equip a tactical relay upgrade attached to that ship to this one. So essentially, you're transferring the tactical droid that was on like your HMP or your Hyena and bringing it on board and putting it on this Gazanti. You got Endless Hordes. It's a recurring charge and raids before a friendly ship with contingency protocol upgrade or a friendly Trade Federation drone at range 0 to 3 would be removed from play. You may spend 1 charge to restore that ship, remove any command upgrades from it, and dock it, which is so strong, especially for the Afflex. Being able to redeploy that I-5 Tri-Fighter is so strong. I like that a lot. And then lastly, we got the title for the ship, the Alpha Review, and it reads: before the neutralized steps, while a friendly Vulture-class droid fighter at range 0 to 2 is attacking a defender in its bullseye, it may suffer 1 damage to cancel one evade result. So essentially, it is a passive Captain Seer, basically,
yeah,
or crack shot, yeah. And just being able to have that with the Vultures, that actually put quite a lot of Vultures out as a squadron or as a wing. You can reliably get that off, especially against medium or large space ships, and just completely push in damage with that particular card. Really, really fun. I would love to play this with a bunch of droids. This is really cool.
Yep, this ship probably went through the most changes in playtest as we went through with different abilities, because all 3 of those abilities we played around with a lot. We weren't sure on the tactical relay. We were like, well, should we put a relay on it? And then we were like, well, what if we put the wrong one? What if someone wants to use a different relay and we put a singular relay on here? Then they're stuck. They can't. So we were like, well, what if we just make it basically I keep your relay alive, so attach it here. And then Endless Hordes, we went back and forth on that one, on how to properly basically have an endless supply of ships coming out of it. Or I think originally it didn't have the charge, and it was just like, whatever, things are dying, just keep docking them until you can't anymore. And or actually no, I think the first one was just put it in reserve and then deploy it later on at some point, and when that was super broken. But this version of it is still really fun, because you have just an endless swarm of Trade Federation drones that never stop coming out of you. And you definitely want to keep Otto alive here. Like he's still only 16 health for 8 points, which isn't a ton, even with reinforced. Like he's going to draw a ton of fire, but and he doesn't have any defensive abilities whatsoever. We purposely didn't give him any like, here, have extra evades, or have your reinforced token is your defensive ability. And you have to be at 0 to 3 of whatever dies so that it can come back. So it's not a very offensive ship either. Like, you notice it doesn't have any extra munitions on it. The only way it's going to be spending its energy is doing the red moves, or the red action, the red coordinate. So it has very strong strengths, and it has very weak weaknesses. So it's very much one of those specialized Separatist ships.
Yeah, that's very fun. All right, we then have Asajj Ventress. She is in the Trident. So the Trident was newer. This one also gets a force token because it's a Saj, right? So got to give her some force. So this is a 10 hull, 4 shields, 3 energy, 1 force, 3 attack out the front. This was always the weird ship that like wanted to move into, like, this is the weirdest style, I think, if I remember right, because this one moves backwards sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, and it could it could flip around, which none of the other ones can do.
Yeah, which is just very weird. But that's what drew me to this specific ship. Not only did it look cool, but because of that. So its special ability is the Tractor Grasp. After you perform a Tractor Tentacles attack that hits, the defender gains 1 Tractor token, which is always super fun. You have the AQ series battle droids. After an enemy ship at range 0 to 2 becomes tractored, assign it a jam token. So you can essentially tractor and then jam them in the same turn, and doesn't cost you anything. Your Tractor Tentacles, the first attack is a bonus action, obviously out your butt, and that's free. But then you can perform 3 more bonus attacks with that with your energy. Obviously, you only have 3 energy, though, so you can only do it 3 times. And then you have your Drill Beak attack, which is another bonus attack. If the attack range is 0, change all hit results to crits, and that is a range. What is that? That's a out your butt 3 dice attack. And then you have the Trident title. While you defend, if the attacker does not have any green tokens, you may add 1 evade result. So that's new. I don't remember that before.
No, yeah, the Separatist Trident, I don't believe has, like, if you build just build a Trident off the Separatist. Let me bring it up in Epic, the customizable version. I don't believe it gets. Oh, it does get a Trident title, but is a different title. Is after you overlap a ship or ship overlaps you. If it's not tractored, you may spend an energy, and if you do, it gains 3 tractor tokens, which is also a mean ability. But we decided not to go with that because we had the AQ droids, which are the aquatic series of battle droids, because this is when Asajj takes her Trident and goes and assaults, does a cool underwater assault with her underwater battle droids. And you would think like they wouldn't really like swimming, but apparently battle droids do just fine in the water. And the whole purpose of this is you're flying along and you flip around and you grab something and you shoot it up a bunch and prep it for your other I1 ships. So you'll notice, unlike the old the Tridents that are out in the wild, like the customizable versions, those ones engage at 0, and it's kind of useless to give out tractor tokens when you're engaging at 0 because no one else is going to be able to use them. So we bumped up the engagement of the Tridents up to 1 for the SL cards, so that you can actually do something with these tractors and jam tokens and all this other stuff that you have going on. So yeah, Asajj runs on up. That. Yeah. This way you have your Trade Federation droids maybe on auto, and they can shoot up something that you've tractored, so that it has 1 fewer agility.
Yeah, this is super fun. So so anybody listening to this that is my local, this is the first one that I'll put on there, and it comes in at a neat 8 points, by the way. So you can run that and auto for 16 points.
Yeah, that's really good, actually.
That seems crazy good. So somebody thought of Tanner when they were building.
Still only has 14 health and 1 point of shield regen, so it's still a pretty fragile ship. But yeah, it's definitely fun. It's going to do a lot of damage on the way out.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any more? Is there one? Oh, there's a scum one.
Yeah, there's 2 scum ones left.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next one that we have here is Secatro Vizago in a Sea Rock cruiser, famous from the Rebel series. So he is riding in the Broken Horn. The chassis ability is Overdrive Burners. While you defend, if you reveal dial maneuver speed was a 3 to 5, roll 1 additional defense die, which is pretty great. We get as Morrigan. After a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, before that ship is removed, you may equip an illicit upgrade attached to that ship to this one, and then recover all charges on it, which is super nice. It's pretty strong. We have illegal countermeasures. While you or ship you are locking at range 0 to 3 defends or performs an attack, you may spend 1 energy to prevent range bonuses from being applied. We have the modified dorsal turret, which is a bonus attack of 2 dice in the turret arc of range 1 to 3. And then the title Broken Horn, which reads, if you are damaged, reduce the difficulty of your speed 3 to 5 maneuvers, which is pretty great. I definitely like the As Morrigan crew card, just being able to essentially bring a illicit upgrade onto the ship from a friendly that died and recover that particular charge. Although I believe that wouldn't work for contraband cybernetics. I mean, you're not going to be doing a K-turn or anything on this, but
it will not work on anything that says specifically you cannot recover the charges. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But really great for like my goodness, the calculate one, I can't remember off the top of my head, or even a dead man switch if you wanted to add that in as well, which would be hilarious because you would have caused that ship would have exploded. You transfer the dead man switch onto the ship and then re-trigger it again afterwards. That would be pretty funny to see that happen twice in a single round. But yeah, this definitely feels really fun, really thematic for Visago, and yeah, great.
Yeah, for this one, we were like, well, what are we going to do with Scum? Their theme is kind of illicits, and like the Sea Rock Cruiser is used by a bunch of basically smugglers. So we said, okay, well, we'll make it the kind of it vacuums up all the illicits that are used around it. And again, it's a fast-moving smuggling ship, so it wants to go speed 3 to 5 all the time. It's got reduced difficulty on speed 3 to 5 maneuvers. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It only has a 3-die attack and a 2-die turret. That doesn't make it spend any energy, but you will be spending energy doing like red jam actions. We gave him a linked red jam, and you'll be spending energy on his click ability is what we call it. The illegal countermeasures. Yeah.
Which is really cool. I like that. That's definitely a neat twist that we hadn't seen for Scum.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the last one, Scum gets a trident. So there you go, folks. Like this one, I don't remember them ever making a trident Scum one. I'm assuming this is going to cost the same, right? 8 points as the Separatist one. Okay. So this one has the, I don't even know how to say that name. JJ, I'll just let
JJ.
You just all right. While you defend, if the attacker is in your front arc, you may add 1 evade result. Seems pretty good. You have the tractor tentacle, same thing. The drill beak, which I believe, the drill beak is the same thing. But this one, you get the Nautiloid's Revenge. It's 1 energy after a tractored enemy in your back arc suffers damage. You may spend 1 energy. If you do, that ship suffers 1 additional damage.
Yeah, for this one, we wanted to make it so that you're running in and you have a defensive ability for while you're approaching your opponent, and then you do the K turn or they get behind you or whatever, and that's where most of your damage is from. Like you have a 3-die front attack, but like all of your stuff is off the tractor tentacles, and so Nautilin's Revenge adds an extra damage. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be after you do a tractor tentacle after doing one that hits to give them the tractor token that the Nautilin's Revenge triggers. Like basically any I-1 ship that attacks after you tractor them, again, you can just be like, okay, well, take an additional damage. So it's not a really flashy ability, but just being able to say take an additional damage is usually pretty strong. So we definitely limited that. I think the original version of that in playtest didn't have the the once per round, and it got out of hand pretty quickly. So we were like, okay, never mind. We'll make it once per round.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this one, Nautolin's Revenge, I remember Kej Vanda is a real person. I don't remember if Sork Tormo is, but it's, but yeah, this is another like 8 point, 14 health. Like it's killable. You can, but we tried to give it a defensive ability, keeps them alive a little bit longer.
I like it. It's some awesome epic stuff. It's very good, Paul, to have you on to talk about it. Hopefully when we have another update, or maybe we get some people get some games played, we can have you back on again. We can talk more epic stuff. Or if you get more reveals for stuff that you're not allowed to talk about right now, but is coming in the near future, we'd love to have you back on to have that conversation. So
yeah, this has been fun. Thanks.
All right, JJ, thanks for setting this up. I'm excited to play some Epic now. So hopefully you will alert the 312 crew and Nickel City, let them all know we did this, and then we can get this episode up here relatively shortly. And don't worry, folks, we will actually have another X-Wing podcast coming up where we're going to come back and reveal or talk a little bit about some of the revealed standard loadout pilots for some of the other factions for standard X-Wing here in the next couple of weeks. With that being said, thank you all. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yep, good night.